That's right. We're back. This is deja vu. It's opening day of 2024. No, sorry, this is 2025. Since BBI with John and Eric, I'm John McFadden. With me, as always, senior editor of Big Blue Interactive. And
is that a picture of you at the stadium?
There was a picture of me at the stadium right there. I got there early.
And unprompted, was that a little snippet of The Office at the?
That was the office. Yeah, there was the office at the end.
Okay,
you know
it's
what's
happening.
Really funny?
Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm. Wait. Everybody calm down.
I had the same. That's Giants land, Giants Nation.
See, that's funny. That you went that route, and I went this route after the first couple of drives for the Giants.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
All right, we did not coordinate on this. I did not know, John did not know that I was doing that, and I did not know he was doing that. All right, now we got that out of the way.
God almighty.
How you doing, John?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
I'm drinking already.
Yeah, so let's start with that. What are you drinking, bud? Because I know people are really interested in that.
Oktoberfest, spot in Oktoberfest. So
all right, I went with in my Inside BBI glass, which you can get online. The links in the chat. It's a Voodoo Ranger New Belgium Liquid Paradise IPA. It's actually not that bad. I'm pretty thrilled. I should have put it in my new Inside BBI mug, shameless plug, that I picked up also. But anyway, so Paul likes to joke about my Daniel Jones jerseys, which I hear you, dude. You know what's really funny is I actually
don't get rid of him now. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
I saw people walking around at the stadium with. I'm like, why the hell would you wear that in public?
Oh, shut up! You got two jerseys. You got
dude. I bought them in 2019. I didn't wear them.
If Sunday couldn't have gone any worse, and we're going to get into that real quick, everyone. If Sunday couldn't have gotten real worse, Daniel Jones makes history. You can't make this up. The football gods or whatever are really mad at us. Somebody give us an exorcism, because at this point, this fucking franchise needs it. So if you're a little gun shy of swearing, you might want to.
You may want to tune down this one. So first things first, though, Eric and I were talking about this really briefly, and one thing I want to say is we want to be careful about not going too far. Again, it is a game.
I'm going too far.
Oh, no, I know. And it is a game, and I want to be careful, too, that I don't do that. It's just a game. The problem is it's the same game every year. 12 quarters, the last 3 opening days, 12 quarters, we've scored 12 points. 12.
Well, that's, John, this was barring season-ending injuries to key players. This was as disastrous a game as there could have been. When we talked about this game in the last podcast and in the podcast before that, I sort of threw in there towards the end, God forbid if they get crushed on opening day again. So I didn't expect this, but I said, God forbid if this is a repeat of 2023, 2024, and that's exactly what happened. There isn't anything to take away. There's no positive at all. And the same exact things have happened. You just named one of them. They can't score. So last year we were scoring 15 points a game? We just scored 6. They can't stop the run. They can't run the ball. The quarterbacking stinks. They can't get turnovers. No turnovers again. It's the same thing. If we had gone into a slumber for 8 months and came out of it, we would have been up there. It's the same old Giants. So everything, and again, I apologize. I got caught up in the damn preseason hype. I fell for it again. Mea culpa. That's on me. I'm not doing it anymore. So from this point on, I expect them to be a clusterfuck organization moving forward until they prove otherwise, because they own this. This is year 4 of this regime, and they can't put an offensive line together, and they can't get a running game together, and they can't stop the run, and they're loaded on paper on defense. And don't tell me they don't have talent on defense. Everybody that covers the league that aren't Giants people said, oh my God, this is going to be a top 10 defense. So our defensive coordinator sucks. Brian Dable and Mike Kafka own this offense. There's in 2025, I don't care how bad your quarterbacking is, you should be able to score more than 6 points against a defense that's not that good. So this went as bad as it could have possibly have gone for the Giants. And we're going to talk about the ramifications of this, because unless there's some sort of a miracle turnaround in the next 2-3 weeks, this is going to spiral out of control. This was a catastrophic opening game for them. I mean, you used to don't overreact, John. I'm overreacting. This was catastrophic.
And that's fine. And I'm going to rein it in just a little bit. And I know I get accused of being a homer. That's fine. But I'm not being a homer. I'm not necessarily. I'm not going to make it a positive about the Giants per se. But I'm going to use a couple of things. You actually really nailed something at one point in one of the previous. It might have been the previous one or the one right before. And I kept thinking about your words during the game up until a certain point. You said,
"It can always get worse."
No. You said very specifically, if they go down 14-3. They're not going to panic. Russell's been there. Things are going to stay. Okay, that's not bad though, because it was 14-6. The Giants
still had a chance. They still had a chance. Yeah,
not only just a chance.
Well,
I was there. Washington wasn't doing a lot. The Giants had it inside the 5-yard line. You can't freaking score. I do not like when you play trickery to get something in right off. You know why trick plays work? Because you've established something else that makes them worry about that. And then the trick play is, oh, you didn't do that. We fell for it.
Oh, John, they had 7 times to get the goddamn ball in the end zone.
I understand that. But if you call a tackle eligible pass.
It was a terrible call. It was a terrible call.
But you don't call it, period, if you haven't run the ball worth shit. Nobody falls for it.
Right.
And when you overplay the line, when you leave the tackle eligible guy as the only guy on the other end of the field, if you don't run in the direction to the power side, there is absolutely no reason that this guy's going to be open. Yeah, no one's falling for it.
I'm going to play devil. I know what you're saying. They could have made the game tighter. They could have even made it a 1-point game, or with a 2-point conversion, tied it. But in no way, shape, or form were the Giants as good as the Commanders on that day. The Commanders blew a bunch of opportunities that were self-inflicted on their part. They ran the ball. When you can run the ball and stop the run, and your quarterback plays better than the other guy, and it's even on turnovers, you're going to win 90% of the time. The Commanders clearly outplayed the New York Giants throughout the day. So even if we had, by some miracle, had won this game, the red flags are everywhere. Our backs carried the ball 15 times for 30 yards. Every time Commanders and Giants ran the same number of offensive plays. It was like 3 apart. It was like 65-62. They had the same number of offensive plays as we did. They had double the yardage per offensive play, which is that's ridiculous. So sure. They were moving the ball. We weren't moving the ball. We couldn't run the ball worth it. I mean, it's 30 yards rushing. I mean, and the thing that bothers me the most, John, is this. All right. So we knew, and this is where I'm getting confused a little bit. So again, people say the preseason means nothing. I get that. You and I have been around sure. Giants fans for a long time. Absolutely. We've talked about the years the Giants went 0-4 in the preseason and did well, and went 4-0 and did shitty in the preseason. Yep. We get that. But the Giants offensive line did play in the preseason, finally, the starting unit, against starting caliber people, and didn't look this bad. Matter of fact, there were plays where Wilson would drop back and throw a deep ball to Bo Collins and had all the time in the world. What bothered me in this one was one of the reasons why the Giants have 2 veteran guards, Greg Van Roten and Runyon, is they're supposed to be able to pick up stunts. They're supposed not to get confused by these types of things. For God's sakes, those guys look like they never seen a stunt before. The Redskins, if you go back and look at the tape, a lot of the pressure that was coming was them running stunts and games and twists on them. And Van Roten and Runyon look like they're confused as hell. And of course, then now we got the problem with Schmitz, who also looked decent in the preseason and didn't. And then Hudson looked like crap. So if you can't block, it doesn't matter. I watched a lot of the football games this week, and the one constant was the teams that were consistently good moving the football had good offensive lines. So shout out to line of scrimmage, the poster line of scrimmage he's been bitching about this for years, hence his name. And I think he's an ex-offensive lineman too. You got to fix the offensive line or nothing else matters. And Reese, Gettleman, and probably now Shane are going to get fired because they can't fucking fix the offensive line. And each of those guys had years to do it. And each of those guys spent a massive amount of resources, draft picks, free agent dollars, Nate Solder. Look at the guards, the two guards that who's the ex-Colt that they signed that we got rid of. Shane signed. I can't even think of his name, but remember one of his first free agent signings was the guard who's already gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Bring in Runyon, and Runyon looks like crap now. And so our three guys up front. Yeah, Glowinski, thank you. But we could go down year by year, and what Gettleman, Reese, and Shane have done on the offensive line, and it's been strikeout after strikeout after strikeout. And if you can't fix the offensive line, nothing else matters. And they can't fix the defense. My biggest two complaints, and I'll cede the floor. Sorry.
Sure, it's fine.
My two biggest complaints about this 14, 13-year period is this. They can't fix the line, and they can't hire a defensive coordinator who's competent. And every defensive coordinator we've let go doesn't go on and do something someplace else. So they're not good defensive coordinators. So they've never been able to hire a good defensive coordinator since Spags, and they can't fix the offensive line. And those two things, above and beyond the quarterback situation, has sabotaged this team. And it's infuriating that we're here again. And we'll get into what this means for the rest of the season. But this is bad, John. I mean, this is really bad.
It is, and I'll take a step back again. Everything is it's relationable pieces. It's trickled down offensively, but it's team wise, it's trickled down. What I saw Sunday, and you can say Washington woulda, coulda, shoulda, they should have had more points, but that's the same argument we use about the Giants should have had more wins last year. They didn't, though. The fact of the matter is, through most of the game, they had 14 points. A decent offensive team for the Giants changes everything that Washington was doing and or would have done. It would have put pressure on them. They had no pressure to do anything. It was okay if they made a mistake. It was okay if they missed. Why? They just give the ball back. They knew the Giants weren't going anywhere. That was my problem right off. I don't think the offensive line was nearly as bad as everybody keeps making it out to be. They were not good. We did everything possible.
They were bad, John. They were
bad. No. But hold on. Let me explain why. We did everything possible to make them bad. We tip off. I called a number of plays. There was a person next to me wearing a Giants jersey. She was with another Washington fan, so there was one person between the two of us. So she and I were talking back and forth every now and then. I called out the play before it happened multiple times. She goes, "Holy shit, you really know this team." I go, "No, I just know how fucking bad they are."
But don't you think the Buffalo Bills knew what the Baltimore Ravens were going to run, and they couldn't stop it? Sometimes you just got to blow the other guy off the line.
I understand that, but the Giants aren't blow them off the line. That's the problem.
Well, that's my problem.
No, wait. Just wait.
Lines. I'm done with the finesse lines.
Just wait. That's my point. It's not just finesse line, though. That's not the problem. It's finesse play. You play finesse. You pull guys. You do delay handoffs. You're giving it to a smaller guy. Tyrone Tracy got pulled down twice that he should have made a cut another way. He should have powered through. He did not. And I'm like, crap, that's not a good look for us. There was an opening. I could see it. I was watching it. There was an opening, and he got grabbed by the shoulder, and down he went. And I'm like, oh, man, if that's Jacobs, if that's Bradshaw, give it to Derek Ward. Those guys are plowing through and picking up at least 5 yards. On top of it, Theo Johnson cannot fucking catch. He kills drives. Malik Nabers was not getting a lot of separation. I don't care what anybody else was trying to see. He did not get a lot of separation, but Russell Wilson is literally aiming the ball. He's not leading them. He's aiming it. So now they're having to fight to make catches. I don't understand what we're trying to establish. What we do seems
what we're establishing is what you just said is the team isn't very good.
Well, so but you have players. What I mean is you don't do things.
You just said our number one receiver can't get open. Our number one tight end can't catch the ball, and our quarterback can't throw the ball.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is from a play
So where's
standpoint,
their
that's a
and they
simplistic.
can't coach and they can't
Listen,
call plays.
I
So-
understand that. That's a simplistic way of looking at it and
But
being
we
angry.
coulda
I
won,
can do it
John.
too.
We
That's
coulda
not what
won.
I'm saying. But the game would have been different if their offense even did a little bit, just a change of field position. But when you go 1-2-3 punt, and then you get stuffed on a run play, then you get, the quarter. By the way, Russell Wilson got absolutely obliterated in the face. Should have been a penalty. They did not call it on a deep pass. But when you have a guy wide open and he drops it, that's so deflating. It's
Sure
so
it is.
reminiscent of
Sure it is.
everything else.
But the big issue is this, John, is I don't want to fall back into the same pattern that a lot of Giants fans, including us, have done in the past and say, oh, if only this had happened and
No, I agree.
only if that had happened. There is a bigger structural problem with this team. It's soft. It's not well coached. They don't acquire enough talent. They're weak in the lines of scrimmage in weird ways. So they do have good – the edge players played well. I will say the people that are picking on Thibodeau, Burns, and Abdul Carter, if there are any, they're pointing their fingers in the wrong direction. Those guys actually played pretty well. Dexter Lawrence was a no-show. He didn't show up.
He got pulled off the field a lot more often.
Well, remember they babied him, and maybe justifiably because of his elbow injury. So he's probably not in football shape, and he certainly didn't play. So he probably got winded. You talked about that in a podcast. Remember coming into this, and he also had a baby due, and his mind might not. But he didn't play well. The guy next to him didn't play well. Our Okereke, who we were hoping would have a rebound season, played like shit. It may have been the worst 16 tackle performance I've ever seen from an inside linebacker.
Yeah, it's just down the field. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
There were, and credit to Justin Pinnock, who pointed this out, that they had the Commanders in 2nd and long, 2nd and 10 to 2nd and 15 situations, like something like 10 times, and they let them get out of it. So, and again, it's just not, there's no way that this, and some people have said, well, the defense didn't lose this game. This defense is too talented to be one of those guys. Well, they didn't lose the game. This is a defense that should be winning football games. It should be a top 10. There's no excuse for this team other than that one corner spot for this team not to be right up there. And it wasn't that good. It wasn't a train wreck, but it wasn't good enough. They have to be better than this, and they weren't. And one of it was Dexter. Dexter didn't show up, and again, there might be reasons behind that, but he was one of the guys. And you and I talked about it. Why is Raheem Nunez Roches on this team? I have no idea. As Cy pointed out in his game review, Tom Brady kept saying, "Well, he's a great guy in the locker room." Well, whoop-de-doo. Hire a court jester if you want to go that route.
Well, you
get
got
a goddamn defensive tackle in here who can play the fucking run. So it's just, John, until this regime's gone. I'm going to put this out right now. Unless there's a miraculous turnaround in the next few weeks, and I'm praying that happens.
Sure.
This regime, as soon as they hit that Eagle Denver, can you imagine what Denver's going to do to this group? I can't even imagine. Anyway, we'll get to that later.
Well, I'll tell you something that really bothered me that I saw multiple times. Okay, so the morning started out, it was raining. It was raining for quite a bit up until about 10:30, 11 o'clock-ish. Then it was overcast till roughly 12:35, 12:40. Then the sun started to come out. By 1 o'clock, the sun was out, and it was bright. As you can see, I got sunburned. So the sun was out. It was pretty warm. That being said, there were a number of very early first and second quarter times where I saw the Giants make wholesale changes to who was on the field. Davidson was on with Nunez Roches, with Chris Board. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are we changing out
early
everybody
in the game? Dude, you're talking about early in the game. Yeah.
I'm talking about early in the game. It literally was like, if this was hockey, we just did a whole line change I don't know what reason.
It was the second series, wasn't it? The second.
It was very early on. It was very early on. Why? I'm thinking, why don't you change one guy? Why are you changing a bunch out? Because all you do is give up a couple first downs. Now we'll bring people in. I don't think the Giants ever gave the three guys that we can count on a real opportunity that they could just go after them. And I hated Carter was used as a spy somewhat, but he should have been used more to be a spy and a rush through the middle. They did use him outside a little bit. He did get a lot of pressures. But after a while, Jaden Daniels was clearly the difference maker. Washington's offense is extremely limited. Outside of
he's really good.
He's the reason why.
Credit. Yeah.
If you gave a more stationary quarterback back there, this game is a far different game. It's probably like 7-3, maybe even 6-3, with neither offense doing much of anything. Jaden Daniels was the difference early on. He kept the Giants just enough where he would run and pick up first downs and just kept them out of getting in any kind of rhythm. It's the offense, though. That's the problem that I have. You brought up a great point. And this is why I don't think what Washington did matters to me. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what the Giants didn't do. Buffalo got absolutely steamrolled by Baltimore for a great portion of that game. I watched the remainder of it on the plane flying back.
Their run defense was worse than ours, if you believe.
Holy cow! By the way, both defenses were giving up yardage like there was no tomorrow. But Buffalo's was a sieve. But Buffalo also ran the ball.
They can counterpunch.
Early on, we all heard leading into the game that there were some plays or packages that had been designed to possibly put Jackson Dart in the game. It was not long before the Giants fans in the crowd started chanting, "We want Jackson."
Did they really?
It started very early.
Oh my, this is going to get ugly.
I was like, holy shit. And this is why I said before, he'll be the number 2 because they're on the road. If this was at home, they would have had no choice. Can you imagine if the game
was at the Meadowlands? I mean, at the Meadowlands, it would have been a disaster.
So for me right now, and we're going to talk about the go forward, but in this particular game, there were a couple things that really stood out. Theo Johnson, to me, I don't know why. Okay, I'm going to give the bleep ahead of time, so be prepared. If you don't like this, turn it down. I don't know why the fuck he missed training camp for a good portion of it. No one's ever said anything, but clearly he must have had an operation on his hand and his eyes, and it didn't work out for either one of them. He cannot catch the ball. He fights the ball, and he cost us multiple things. All the shit that Wan'Dale Robinson takes, that dude gave it his all. He's getting hammered coming across. And by the way, when did we decide Wan'Dale was going to be the kick returner?
Yeah.
The smallest guy you have, and we'll just let him return the kicks.
So Theo Johnson had issues last year. The weird thing about him is he's one of those other guys on the team that when he does catch the ball, he can make great grabs, but he drops these easy ones.
Yes.
And
he fights it.
And part of it, and again, it sounds like I'm being defending him. I'm not. But this goes back to Malik Nabers, too. When I was arguing with people on the website, there is a cost to missing training camp. And some of the problems that Russell Wilson and Malik. So Russell Wilson threw the ball 12 times towards Malik Nabers. Only 5 of them were caught. Some of that was Russell not playing well. Some of that was the offensive line. Some of that probably, though, was them not having enough work together because Malik Nabers hardly practiced all summer. And Theo Johnson was out the last 2 weeks, at least the last 2 weeks, maybe more, but I know he missed at least 2 weeks. So some of this might be simply rust. So we'll have to see this moving forward. But I'll tell you this right now, and I'm a big fan of Theo Johnson's physical ability, potential. But Daniel Bellinger earned the right to take playing time from him and possibly take his starting job if this keeps up. Like if we go into Dallas and there's another drop, if I'm channeling my old Bill Parcells, Theo, you're out. Daniel Bellinger's going in. And Daniel Bellinger is an explosive athlete, but you can't have those drops. And there's got to be a consequence for making mistakes. Like you talked about with Deontay Banks, like we've talked about, if Tyrone Tracy happened to start fumbling again, there's got to be a consequence to poor play, and that was one of them. So Daniel Bellinger, who a lot of people wanted cut, I would say, if Theo Johnson, that doesn't mean he's a bust, but there's got to be, timeout. You get a timeout because you're not performing. Go work on the jugs machine for a while, and when you get your hands right, then maybe you'll get back in the starting lineup. So there's got to be consequence. Step back one more thing.
Yeah, let's back up.
You and I have to admit that we got bamboozled. Okay, we were hoping, and part of this is because we're fans and we want to hope for the best. When Russell Wilson came in and had that initial press conference, we were both thought, this is cheesy. Okay. And there was that infamous clip
We talked about it.
that Good Morning Football put together showing he said the same exact things and the same thing. But then we saw the vibe that the teammates seemed to be buying into it. And once again, the reports out of training camp and the way they were performing in the preseason, it looked professional. It looked like people were believing in it. We all saw what happened in the preseason. The Giants led all teams in scoring in the preseason. Now, that just wasn't the starters. It was the second team and the third team. I get that. Russell Wilson looked like shit. He looked terrible. He looked like the kind of quarterback that we all feared that he was when they signed him, that he was washed up and, oh my God, is this going to work out? And right now, I think San Fran Giants fans said it best. Did you see his press conference after the game? Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was bad. I mean, he's like living in a different reality. He sounded like
he's a politician.
That's what San Fran said. He said he sounded like a politician. Yeah. And so at this stage of his career, and we'll get into this, but and I know Cy disagrees, but and I know this sounds dramatic, and again, it's counter to everything in my instincts and again, I'm 57 years old. It's counter to everything I believe in as a football fan. But my knee-jerk reaction right now is it's the Jackson Dart era right now, and I'll explain why. But I would pull the plug right now. I don't see the point. And now if Russell Wilson starts like he is, and they beat Dallas, and they somehow beat or stay in the game against Kansas City, I may look silly with this, but I would.
So here's the thing. I'll kind of one up what you just said. I actually expected we would come out in the second half and they would have put Dart in. It was so flat. Now here's the problem. Here's the problem that Dayball has, in my opinion. I talked about on BBI, bigblueinteractive.com, for those who don't know. I talked about I don't like his press conferences. And I had some people say I don't care about his press conferences. I do. I care about Dayball's press conferences for one very specific reason. The man says shit that says to me, did you pay attention to anything that just happened that mimicked everything that happened the year before and everything that happened the year before that? So when you say shit like, well, I got to look at the tape, what that says to me is this has become so old school, so habit, that you're just, it doesn't even faze you anymore that your team, which looks so different in the preseason, came out and laid an absolute egg. That's part one. Part two,
third year in a row.
This bullshit of I love you, I love you, I love you to Jackson Dart. You can't do stuff like that. You can't call Malik Nabers your dog and then look at the video of what happened. I'm not overreacting to stuff because I actually didn't see it during the game with the Malik Nabers part. I did see something else, and I'll bring that up in a minute. But the Malik Nabers part, he's throwing a fit on the sidelines. You can say you're trying to rile people up. I don't give a shit. What really was happening, you were barking at the coach. The coach comes over like a fucking moron. I'm going to try to high five you now. And Malik's like not even having it. That's what somebody does. Do you think Bill Parcells ever would have done that?
Oh, God, no.
With Lawrence Taylor, he's coming over like, let me high five. I want you to be okay. I don't want you to be unhappy.
We know what Bill would do. We've seen videos what Bill would do.
He's not going to sit there and be like, but Dayball's worried about his dog.
Dayball's done. Dayball's done. He's again, barring a miracle, Dayball's done. And he's done because he hired another defensive coordinator who sucks. And he's done because he is in charge of an offense for the third year in a row is going to be historically bad. We're talking going back to the 1940s, World War II level bad in terms of scoring. For fuck's sake. We're not even talking about 60s or 70s here. We're talking about the 1940s. That's how bad
we point to the Minnesota playoff game as one of the worst things that could have happened based on what it brought about. I'm beginning to think that opening day in Tennessee, where Tennessee misses the field goal and we win the game because they missed the field goal. We couldn't even stop them after all the stuff we did, the 2-point conversion to take the lead. They missed the field goal. By the way, later on when we have our own injuries at kicker, we go and sign the goddamn guy who missed the field goal to beat us. That game alone changed the trajectory of a lot of things. We barely beat Carolina. I know now I'm looking back on it with a different eye. much?
It was a fun year. It was a fun year,
Well,
but
it was.
they took the wrong lessons from it, and that's part of the problem.
And how much of Dayball is Josh Allen?
How
much of Dayball was Josh Allen and what he did there, and he hasn't been able to replicate it since that time.
Yeah. The Josh Allen things. That's no longer valid anymore. Again.
No, but what I mean is
I know.
the mystique of his offense.
I know. But I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying don't even bring up Josh Allen anymore. That's moot to me now.
Well, I think he got away with it with Daniel Jones in the beginning from the rushing aspect, but not the throwing. But since that time, the big problem you have, and I know people want to blame John Mara. John Mara is not making decisions about what happens.
He's
on the
hiring
field.
These people.
But I understand that. He's not making decisions on the field.
You know what it is, John?
Here we go.
He doesn't want. He can't hire the right people. And then the question is why can't he hire the right people? Is he just horrible at judging people, or is he also or afraid of hiring personalities that are too big? I've wondered that. I've wondered would he even have looked at John Harbaugh as a head coach? Would he even have talked to Sean Payton as a prospective head coach? Would those guys have wanted too much power or say or had too much of an influence for John? That's what I wonder.
Maybe.
But say I'm completely off base on that. Say I'm off on that. The alternative is he just can't hire the right people, because that's where we're at again now. Shane doesn't know how to build an offensive line. He doesn't. Shane is incompetent. He doesn't know how to build an offensive line. He doesn't know how to get a couple of defensive tackles. He's got the best defensive tackle in football, and he can't get one other guy to get next to him in 4 years. That's ridiculous.
Well, let me ask you. Let's stop real quick because we'll get too off the rails. But I want to stick with where you were going with 1 second. Do you, in your opinion, blame Joe Shane for the choices of offensive linemen in the draft, or is it the staff that we gave them to? And before you answer, the reason I asked this is we both thought Evan Neal was up towards the top. The Dallas Cowboys thought Evan Neal, a team that picks offensive linemen very well, thought Evan Neal was way at the top. Is his failure on the coaching staff, or was it him being selected?
I think I'm gonna sort of that's the one I'll give them. I think Evan Neal is the example of the bust that no one saw. The Tony Mandarich of his era, so to speak.
Sure. Okay.
So other people had him up there. The indictment on this coaching staff is not to keep throwing the fucker out there and expecting different results. He just wouldn't develop.
Sure.
And then their backup plan.
And he was injured, and they still kept him on the roster. And their backup
plan was Evan Neal. Evan Neal spent a lot of time at right guard in the summer, and he was inactive.
Well, what did you think about Jalen Hyatt being on the roster, and he's the only guy on the offensive side?
Jalen Hyatt's been passed by Bo Collins.
But why have him active? You didn't even put him on the field for a snap.
That draft is a disaster. If you look at the
it's bad.
Dante Banks, Jalen Hyatt, and John Michael Schmidt's draft, it's horrendous.
It's bad.
And so, John, the thing is the team. This regime, I hate to say it, guys. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be on here bitching. This is going to suck for John and I, because unless you guys want to hear two old guys bitch twice a week,
that'd be nice.
Maybe you guys do, but this isn't fun for us. I'm not rooting against the Giants. I'm going
to be in Dallas, for God's sakes.
You're going to Dallas. This is awful. That we're right back where we started 13 years ago again, because they can't hire the right people to fix the offensive line and fix the defense. Quarterback, I'll give them. Quarterback's tough. Giving Daniel Jones 6 years is a different matter. Now we're going to still get people go out there. Oh, look what Daniel did.
If someone says,
hold the horses on that.
Yeah, if someone says, see, look at Daniel Jones somewhere else, shut the F up, because no one, you know what?
Let's wait on that.
Yeah, he played the Miami Dolphins, who are McDaniels will be the coach fired. That dude sucks. The Dolphins suck. That was embarrassing. They didn't even show up. That was essentially the Minnesota Viking playoff game. You watch the Colts when they go and play the Broncos. That's going to be a whole different story.
I wanted to address this. Again, we're reading your comments, guys. It's just that we're pretty already fired
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to put them on the screen. Yeah.
fired up right now. Leon, you're not going to like where I'm going with this. And I'm going to tee up John, and maybe John doesn't agree with me. If this continues, if we play like this moving forward, does Dable survive?
No.
If we keep playing like this with this schedule, are the Giants picking in the top 3?
If they keep playing like this, probably.
If
The back half could.
Is there
back
a,
half could
is there
mess
a
with us.
50-50 chance that Shane might not survive?
I would think if you go really okay. So here, let me back up.
Say the Giants are the worst team in the NFL.
He's gone.
I think that's on the table right
He's
now.
gone too. He's gone too.
Okay. All right.
He's gone too.
So Leon, Jackson Dart's got to play for Jackson Dart, because if Jackson Dart doesn't show anything now, and this season goes the way it might, Jackson Dart's going to get replaced by another quarterback, by a coach and GM that bring in their own quarterback, and that's not fair to Jackson. But that's kind of where we're at right now. So in a way, Jackson's got to get in the field to prove to the next coaching staff that he's got the goods. So that's one of the reasons why I think Dart's got to get in there, and I disagree with Cy. And I get it. This is throwing a guy to the wolves, and there's different ways to do this. Some guys, they thrive in the situation. Some guys wilt, and Dart might wreck Dart. But I don't know if they've got enough. Dart, if you like Dart might have to save his future here for the next coaching staff. That's where I'm coming with. That's how bad this is.
So before I get to what you said, SPP, thank you so much. Appreciate that. That's super helpful and appreciate it.
I like that picture. That's I love.
So I'm gonna copy SPP here, and I'm gonna ask you a question. Would the game have been different? Not necessarily won.
If we score? Yeah.
No. Let me ask you the question.
I'm sorry, John. I'm pissed off. I mean,
I know, but I'm going with where. But I'm going.
Points.
I understand that, but I'm going with where. Just work with me for just a second. If the Giants had put in Jackson in the middle of that game, would some of the plays possibly, based on his athletic ability? Because you know what I saw with Russell Wilson? It was the thing that actually we worried about early on. And we thought in training camp, God, it's so different. When he first got signed, you and I talked about he's a moonball guy. That's great. He can move around and throw it deep. That's great.
He didn't throw over the middle.
Where does he struggle? Over the middle. He doesn't use his tight ends
much. Part of that was
much.
because the 3 fuckers in front of him couldn't block anything.
But it's not always about the 3 fuckers.
No, because he ran into some sacks.
He ducked his head down.
And he ran into some sacks.
Oh, okay. So here's the problem that I have. This is one of the plays that I called out to the person next to me. The Giants, I don't, if you remember, I'm trying to think, I think it's the third quarter. Don't quote me on that, but no, I'm positive. It's the third quarter because they were going in the other direction away from me at that point. And I was in the end zone on the opposite side.
With your LT jersey on.
With my LT jersey on, and Andrea was in the Malik Nabers jersey. The Giants got a 3rd and 1. They go shotgun. And Washington's coming up, and I'm thinking,
I hate the shotgun.
You're either throwing it long here, or you've got to call a quick draw or something.
Right. It's so predictable.
Instead, Wilson takes the ball and he ducks and throws it almost like sidearm. And if I remember correctly, and again, I might be wrong because again, I'm watching it live and I have not watched the replay on it. I think it's Wandell that's the guy. So you got little tiny wide receiver out to the side. He's ducking down. Wilson's throwing. The ball's nowhere near. In fact, we are lucky it wasn't a freaking lateral.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, what the
But what do teams with really good offensive lines like the Baltimore Ravens or the Philadelphia Eagles do in that situation? They get under center and they run the goddamn ball and they get it. Might be that stupid tush push or whatever, but they get.
But
I'll
tell you how you beat that.
The shotgun.
I'll tell you how. Again, I'm not going to say I'm an expert.
And you're talking about the play where everyone was wide too. They had all these.
Yeah, they spread them out. There was one guy in the backfield and spread out wide.
I knew that play was dead as soon as I saw them.
I'll tell you how you beat the 3rd down short yardage thing. And it's very simple. I'm no expert, but I've watched football long enough to think I know what I'm talking about. What you watch with other teams is they vary the snap count of when they do short yardage. Mm-hmm. Lots of times they'll come up. You have to be under center. You cannot be in shotgun. You give away. Your options are this. You're either throwing the ball quickly or you're doing a draw. But you can't do a delayed draw when the team's bringing a bunch of pressure up the middle. It's never going to work. So now you're pretty much stuck with the quick pass. So if you get up under center, you vary the snap count. The Giants don't do that. What they do is they constantly are motioning and they're trying to figure shit out. And then they go, and then once he gets under center, directly under center, the snap count is the same. Go back and look at how Tom Brady always did his shit. He is not athletic, by the way. He gets up, he gets to the line, and they snap the ball and he goes.
Right. I don't disagree with you.
You
but
got to vary it.
I think it gets back to a bigger picture, John. And again, it's the lack of trust.
I hate Daboll. I think he's
so. I think he's gone. I mean, unless they they could have a turnaround here, but I don't expect it. I'm done giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Jackson Dart has to play, don't you think?
What?
Jackson Dart has to play sooner than later.
I would have played him against Dallas because I would rather have him face Dallas's defense in his first game than facing Kansas City. I think this is a bad decision on their part. And again, I understand where Sai's coming from. I understand Sai's argument, and he could be 100% correct. But I think, number one, look, if Dart had played in the game, there could have been a pick six going the other way.
Sure,
and he just looked just like J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, but J.J. McCarthy, but he inspired his players, by the way, and he played pretty darn well in this in the game.
But that's the part of the growing process. We're not going to the Super Bowl. We're not going to the playoffs. Hell, the best of us, the most optimistic of us, we're hoping that maybe they'll be hanging around 500.
I wanted to get to 8.
Right. So just get him in there. And his first game, I don't want to be next week. I want it to be. I want it to be this week, not the week after. And I certainly don't want him going up against somebody like Denver as his first game. So I think we're just postponing the inevitable at this point. And again, I'm thinking long term here. I'm like, I don't think Daboll survives this. I'm not sure Shane does. I think Shane survives, and Daboll might survive if somehow Dart looks good down the stretch, like the last 4 games of the season. They might convince John Mara, one of those John Mara moments, like, oh boy, they look just good enough now where the needle's pointed up and we're going to bring the whole team back. That could happen, but looking at the schedule, and I'm afraid Daboll's going to lose the locker room. Like you said, hey, Malik, high five, and Malik doesn't even want to have anything to do with him. How long is it before the defense starts going, we're better than this? What is Shane Bowen having us doing? This isn't working. So my thing is, how long will it take until the roof collapses on with the players saying this isn't working? They don't believe in the coaching.
So here's what I would do, and I think so let me, before I get to what I would do overall, let's go back. We talked about there were 2 scenarios that we kept playing out, that the transition role, right? The first scenario was the Kansas City Chiefs model. You go through the season, last game of the season, Jackson Dart plays.
That's off the table now, don't you think? That's off the table.
For the moment, let's stick to what we said. That was one.
Okay.
The second one was the Eli Manning one of you get to a midpoint of the season, whether you're a winning record or a slightly winning or slightly losing, and now you transition over because you want it. He's the guy eventually. But we left out the most obvious one, which is the Daniel Jones transition of 2019, which is the first 2 games ended up being losses. Pat Shurmur, his guy was not Eli Manning. His guy was now Daniel Jones. That's the go forward. So they put him in. He wins the game out of nowhere, and we all know what happened. But guess what? Pat Shurmur got fired anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Daboll doesn't have the luxury of only being 2 years, so he can't play off, well, I need more time. You had your time.
He can try. You can try
all you want. You went chocolates, roses, fucking kisses on one knee to Jackson Dart. You now have no choice but to play him. Your own players saw you do that. Russell Wilson laid an egg. I said all the stuff that he built up in the community would probably get him time, but I never thought it would get him re-signed. No matter what he did, I didn't think it'd get him re-signed.
You didn't expect him to play that bad, did you?
I never thought that we would do absolutely
against Washington.
Nothing.
Against Washington.
Washington has nothing on defense that scares me. Nothing.
But they're well coached. Boy,
that's fine.
You give Dan Quinn our defensive talent. And
But I agree with
holy
you. But
crap.
I will turn that back though.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I was there. If you made one of those passes complete instead of where he threw it, I don't know
He
what the
missed
hell
them
he
then.
was doing. If you
And-
just catch the ball,
Yeah.
Tyrone Tracy, by the way, got very lucky. They did not call that a fumble again. Catch the fucking ball.
Right.
You
And
take every time we do something that doesn't allow a first down, you put the defense back on the field. That is going to build up where they just go, oh. At some point, emotional energy becomes important. It doesn't matter that it might be helter-skelter. I mean, fuck, you could put Jameis Winston in there, and I think the team is going to rise up a little bit just from the energy. Russell doesn't bring energy. He brings calmness. That's fine if he's producing. Calmness brings nothing if you're not producing. It brings manufactured complacency. I don't give a shit. If you're not producing, I don't care how calm you are, how professional you are. I'd rather have the gunslinger who's going to turn it over 15 times, but at least is putting the defense on their heels and gives me a little bit of excitement. But Jackson Dart's time is coming. I feel like it's going to be this game. I think you almost have to, unless the Giants change what they're doing. And how I would do it is I'd go up tempo. I'd go no huddle. By the way, did you notice how many times Washington got up to the line of scrimmage and did not let the Giants substitute?
yeah.
They kept their defense on the field. They
Yeah.
kept the same guys. You couldn't change. They didn't change guys. The Giants don't do that. We constantly trot it. And by the way, you're trotting in B and C. I don't give a shit that Chris Manhertz is coming on the field. If I'm a defense, I don't go, oh my God, they just put Manhertz on the field. Like, what do you care?
My problems again are bigger than that. We're softer than the other team. Washington was more physical than us on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and that's been a trend that's been going on for, again, almost 15 years here. And bigger, stronger teams win. That's the way. It's still a man's game filled with big guys with testosterone, and
so
big teams win. And
Sure.
I hate to sound like George Young here, but
dancing elephants.
You can survive. Look, there aren't a lot of great centers in the NFL, and there are not a lot of big hulking, like 320-pound centers that can handle somebody like a Dexter Lawrence or a Vita Vea out there. But if you're going to have like a normal regular center, you better have two big freaking physical guards flanking him. But we've got two finesse guards. We've got a finesse center and big physical, and teams in the NFL now are getting bigger and more athletic at the defensive tackle spot. And the Washington exposed us inside. And so you had a 5'10" quarterback trying to throw against pressure coming right up the middle against him. And even Joe Montana, and you remember this, when Joe Montana was a short guy, the thing the Giants ever did was when they finally figured out that you blitz and you
bring it up the middle.
The middle against Joe Montana. Russell Wilson's not Joe Montana. And Russell Wilson was dead in the water as soon as they started doing that. What upset me with him was his inaccuracy on the deep stuff.
Yes.
And he panicked.
And it was short. He didn't lead him. That was the other thought that I'm like, God, he's coming, he's throwing it at the guy, not leading him down the field, which is what I thought his strength was leading him down the field.
I told you that I underwent shoulder surgery recently. I'm a physical therapist. My physical therapist is a Steelers fan. So I saw him on Monday, and he said, now remember where Russell Wilson came from. He said, how's Russell Wilson working out for you guys? So he didn't, and he's a big football fan. He was like, he's your problem now, not ours. So unfortunately, the politician Russell Wilson sort of bamboozled, and there are smart people there. By the way, I do want to give a shout out to the BBI community for two things. Number one, for everyone who has contributed to the ongoing contribution campaign. Thank you very much.
Yes.
You get personal thank you notes, or should be getting them from me. Second, the discourse yesterday after the game was not bad. It was a lot of people bitching and moaning, but you should have been, and most of you made intelligent comments. There was a lot of great commentary on there, and there were a lot of people who ended up being right. The people out there were saying, I warned you guys about Russell Wilson. Not me. I'm saying I was one of the ones who started getting bamboozled by him. but the people out there were saying, this was only a matter of time. They were right. Then that's the problem that we're in. So, John, you talk about he's going to come into the game. Why waste the practice snaps right now? I would make, and it's not going to happen. Jackson should be the starter going into Dallas because Dallas is not a good defense. I said that about Washington, so we'll see. You can't block anyone; it doesn't matter. But I would rather have his first start going against Dallas than against Kansas City and Spagnuolo. I'd rather do that, and certainly would rather have him playing. The other obvious starting game would be New Orleans, but do we want to wait that long? So
I don't think quite frankly, I don't think you can. If you're Brian Daboll, and this is the part that I said when it was brought up, well, Daboll bought himself another year. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. They have to win some games. They have to look competitive. Just being in a game, which is what I brought up earlier, we were in the game. If the offense was even remotely average in the NFL, this is a 14-13, 14-14 game late in the game, and who knows what happens because everything changes, pressure goes on teams. Washington at no point in time felt pressure from the Giants offense. None. The one time was inside the goal, and they stuffed us. They shut it down. They didn't have to worry about it. They didn't have to take chances. So their run game totals to me don't mean anything. A lot of it came later in the second half, and they just kept going. Yes, they got some chunk plays early on, but they didn't get points. If the Giants offense scored like it did in the preseason, if they'd even moved the ball like it did in the preseason, but they didn't. They didn't even move the ball.
You're not incorrect, John. I just have higher expectations.
Oh, I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, if in an individual game situation, you have to understand sometimes
one touchdown would have made a huge difference in this game.
And we couldn't even do
and they had 7 chances from inside.
And we couldn't even do that. And we couldn't even do that. But
why do your first call is a tackle eligible play
which was
to a rookie tackle?
It was
dumbasses.
It was so
stupid.
It was so poorly designed overall. So a couple things. Let's talk
about. Why is that play even in the goddamn game plan? Why is that even in there?
Usually you use that play like Detroit or whatever, after you've established that you can throw it in, you can run it in, and they jump all over it, and all of a sudden you leak a tackle out and you throw it. That's not your first time inside the 5-yard line.
Be honest. Did you know we were in trouble as soon as they ran that play?
Oh my God! I looked around and I go, why the fuck are we running a tackle eligible on first down?
Oh my God, we're not going to get a touchdown here, even after they got the flag. I thought we're not going to.
Do you know what message that sends to the defense? That you don't believe you can get it in without tricking us.
Well, the offense too. The offense.
Well, I mean, the offense is the offense. And by the way, a lot of them coming to the line, they acted like they didn't even know what the play was. I was like, oh shit, we ran this dumbass 2-point conversion against Pittsburgh last year. Let's not get too cute here. Why isn't Cam Scatabo in? Just run really hard or fake it and then throw a lob. You can't do that with Wandell on the field. He's too small. Okay. So let's talk about a couple things real quick from the Washington game itself, and then some transition to. We'll preview the Dallas game later in the week, but just some transitions. First things first. First things first. Micah McFadden.
This is gonna be a great season, guys.
Hey, let's try to be positive. Micah McFadden got hurt. It looked like he broke his leg. Then it was like not as bad. Now word comes out it might be worse than they thought.
Sounds like he's gonna be out a while.
I feel like it's either a really bad high ankle or a Liz Frank with the way. And I saw him come out in the
booth. My new starting middle linebacker. Abdul Carter would be my starting.
I agree.
Linebacker.
I don't know why
I'm not even talking about like him coming off the field. He would be I would move him all around.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not. You can't tell me Darius Muasau is going to be better than Abdul Carter, kind of sort of playing out of position, even though it's a position he played in college.
Let me ask you this:
he'd be my inside, and then you never have to take him off the field unless you want a breather. But he's my middle linebacker.
With that in mind,
that might be a good. There may be a silver lining here, but dumbasses probably won't do it.
Well, let me ask you this, right? You're old, as you like to say. I'm going to ask you this: in 1983, Harry Carson got hurt. Who moved to middle linebacker?
In what year?
1983. Later in the season, who played middle linebacker?
Was it L?
It was LT. LT moved to the LT. Go back and watch the Cardinals game, the game that was a 2020 tie on Monday Night Football. LT is the middle linebacker.
But I'm talking
LT made the Pro Bowl as playing 2 different positions as a linebacker in 1983. There's no reason why Abdul Carter, who's played inside backer in college, can't come in and play. You absolutely put the best.
Are you worried he's going to get beat in coverage? What
That's my
happened
point.
Darius Lewis all got beat for a touchdown. All right, look, it's almost too obvious. That's why I think they won't do it. But he would be my starting, and then you can get cute. You know what I mean? You could like shift players around.
Why not?
Why not? What do you got to lose at this point?
Dak can move, but Dak is not Jaden Daniels anymore. Dak has had a number of injuries. He runs around, but he's not sprinting all over the field. You need to get after his ass, and you bring it up the middle. I know, Opt. It was really more just to set it up to say so Abdul could play the middle. You bring pressure. By the way, I'd rather you lose from getting absolutely cut in the jugular than getting 1,000 paper cuts and giving up a touchdown. Go after his ass. Just put your best players on the field, which brings me to the second part. I don't give a fuck if you ever put James Hudson back on the field ever again. I don't care if he ever plays at all. I would put Bo at left tackle, or I move Illuminor, which is what I would have done last year, to left tackle, and I put Bo at right tackle.
You did see Bo got beat pretty bad on the goal line, too.
I do not care.
I'm not saying, again, I'm tempering expectations. I'm with you. I think Bo right now is the better player. I'm just warning people there still is growing pains even with Bo. So sometimes we get this, you know how fans always think the backup quarterback is always better when the starter's struggling. The same thing is true as other positions. So I'm not saying be careful what you wish for. I'm saying I really like Bo, but don't expect Bo, who didn't play left tackle in college, to be the answer to this.
Which is why I really lean towards the same thing I said last year. Move Illuminor to left tackle until Thomas can play.
Yeah, I know. But
and put Bo at right tackle.
But if they start, and I'm not saying you're wrong, John, because you were right last year, but holy hell, if they start dramatically shifting. And look,
in 1988, the Giants did that.
Talking about moving Van Roten to center at this point. Van Roten got abused in this game. If they're going to bench JMS, start Schlottman because he's a center. And maybe Schlottman's just as bad. I don't know, but I wouldn't move. I mean, I think people have this somehow have this weird memory at the end of the year that Greg Van Roten was some awesome center. He just wasn't the clusterfuck that JMS was at the end of last year. And JMS was hurt too. He missed the last 2 games. That's why Van Roten was playing center. But if you aren't going to bench, and I would start benching people. You know, they benched Deontay Banks for all intents and purposes. So they are doing some of these things.
Of course they did. Look at how many. I told you during the summer. The second they listed both of them, bullshit that it was going to be even. Flott is the guy.
But Flott let the guy run right around him and score a touchdown.
He also made a really good play on the ball earlier. He played it really. He was very close to picking that ball off.
But John, I'm not trying to pick on him, but we got a problem at that other corner spot. So
he's going to give up plays. I give you that. But you know what he's not going to do? He's not going to give up plays just by not trying. Right. So that's the part that I think the Giants saw that. That's the problem. When you carry guys like a Banks, when you carry guys like a Hyatt just because of where they were drafted, when they don't do what you need them to, Hyatt looked like shit against the Patriots. I don't care about the touchdown catch. That's right. A catch is a catch is a catch. He's dropping it all over the field, and he made one catch, and we're like, oh, he's great. No, he's not. He sucks.
Do you think Hyatt has the ultimate pouting going on right now? He's got to be. He's going to be checking out mentally.
Well, let's back up for 1 second. Darius Slayton got a new contract and saw the ball one time.
Yeah,
one time.
And they did miss him.
He was open on the one play.
He missed him a couple of times. There was a couple of times, but you're right, and it's what we talked about again. So you can't just throw the football at Malik Nabers and Wan'Dale Robinson. Somebody else has got to. It's the same. Nothing, John. The big takeaway from this game is nothing changed. Everything that they did or didn't do, nothing changed from last year to this year. Both on defense and offense, the results have been the same. The same things that I listed. No scoring. Can't stop the run. No, we can't get turnovers. Create turnovers. We can't run the ball. It's the same. It's the same questionable play calling. It's the same stuff. And it's like, oh my God, where did all that vibe, all that great? We were feeling great coming out of the preseason in camp. They didn't have a lot of injuries. They looked competent. They didn't look like world beaters, but they looked like they were at least going to be competent and they would be playing hard. I don't think they played particularly hard on Sunday. I thought the Commanders looked more fired up. And I'm leaving the Dave Del Cole comment up here because Dave, holy crap, say we go 0-2 and Dart doesn't play against Dallas either, and we're at home now. What is the stadium going to be like? John and Wilson starts game 3. Say Dabo refuses to bring Dart in and for the third game. What do you think the stadium's going to be like? It's going to be a nightmare.
Well, I mean, not only is it going to be a nightmare, it's going to be heavily Kansas City fans. Now, here's the weird thing, right? The Chiefs could be 0-2 coming into that game. They have a game with Philadelphia this week. The Chiefs are very thin at wide receiver.
And they didn't look great.
They definitely look like a team that has been kind of at the top a little longer than.
And the team that beat them, we get the following week, right?
Which I'm kind of happy about the fact that they play Denver. I think it's either Denver or Vegas the week before us, or they play Vegas and then they play Denver after us. I don't really care how it goes. They've got a tough schedule and it's a 1:00 game. I have a feeling this is the way it's going to go. If they start out slow against Dallas, you almost have no choice but to play Jackson for 2 reasons. One, you can't just start him the next week against Kansas City. He's got to have some playing time before you just play him against the Chiefs. He's going to have to be in this game. 2, you got to tell your team you are not just giving up. If you just play Wilson, it's no different if he's struggling. You scored 6 points in week 1. Let's say you go through the first quarter, you manage nothing offensively. It's a couple of punts. We can't do anything. We look inept. You cannot possibly tell that locker room that you're really trying to win when the guy that you've been kissing and loving and holding his hand and asking him to the prom is sitting on the sidelines and you're not playing him. And you keep telling Russell's our best chance to win. No, he's not.
Right.
He's not. So I think Jackson Dart's going to play in this game. I think it's going to be very early. I think it might be some plays here or there. I have a weird feeling, though, that he's going to take over by halftime, and then this is the Jackson Dart regime going forward. But Daboll's doing it to win and stay. He's not guaranteed just because they drafted him. If they suck the rest of the year, you can't bring this guy back and think he's going to be better just because Jackson Dart. Even if Jackson Dart plays well and the team loses, you can't bring Daboll back.
I don't know, John. I don't know. I don't have any confidence in this coaching staff, this general manager, this owner to do anything right. I'm beaten down. I'm tired of this. I'm so tired of this team being an utter and complete embarrassment. And I know the fan base is, and we're tired of it. You have to try really hard to be this bad in the NFL this long. And again, there's always the old Detroit Lion teams, or remember the old Cincinnati Bengal teams were so bad for so long. But you really have to be. How do you have an offense that is so bad that you reach 1940 levels for 3 years in a row? It's almost hard to do. And there are terrible quarterbacks in this league. And they get rid of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones lights it up.
Right.
Lights it up. And again, some of that's Miami, or a lot of that's Miami. But
Miami's really bad.
My God. I don't have confidence. Right now, I think this coaching staff's gone. I think there's 50-50 of chains here. I think Mara will look for any excuse to keep Shane, any at all. And maybe that's what we'll keep him. But, I don't even know. I give them credit for making Dart the number 2 quarterback. So like if
Called it.
if they Russell Wilson had gotten hurt in the game on Sunday, Dart would have been in the game. It wouldn't have been Winston. He couldn't.
Yeah, because he's the emergency.
It would have been. So they obviously feel enough. If they feel enough comfortable and him enough to come in and play, if Winston gets hurt, why are they not comfortable enough to have him start? So that's where I am. Dallas. Any NFL defense is going to be tough on a rookie. I don't care who it is. Dallas has talent in the secondary.
Who's the 32nd ranked defense right now in the NFL?
Oh, I haven't checked. I almost want to pick somebody from that Buffalo game, but because they were going up and down the field, but I don't know.
Actually, I got to look back on it because it might be specific to position. But if you're looking from a fantasy perspective, Dallas's defense, I believe against receivers, was 32nd.
Yeah, but their secondary is not bad. It's
not great. It's not great.
And we'll get into this later. But look, you and I thought Dallas was going to get blown out and they didn't. That's a game they could have won in Philadelphia.
Well,
So
Philadelphia looked pretty bad. I'm going to take
John,
Philadelphia looked like a team that won the Super Bowl.
Smoke us. Dallas could smoke us.
Oh, sure. I mean, who
Smoke us.
couldn't right now? I mean, quite frankly, other than Carolina, I don't know that there's anybody that couldn't smoke us.
I posted some again. I apologize. I forgot who said it, but somebody up here said I posted it. They said 3-13. I'm having a hard time finding the wins on the schedule right now if the Giants play the way they are, and so.
This is a big game. The first part about it, let's forget wins and losses, and then we'll preview the game later in the week. So I don't want to get too much into that. The biggest problem that I have from week one is the fact of the matter. It's not that they didn't win, although I thought they were going to. I actually really felt good about the way things were going, the way Washington was. I thought we matched up really well offensively to challenge them down the field, but we didn't do any of that stuff, which really bothered me that it was game plan specific. That I felt like that's where we really.
McLaurin didn't do anything.
He had 2 catches.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
Who cares?
So if you told me that we held McLaurin to that,
it was offense. The offense lost the game, but not just lost the game.
I disagree with. I think both sides. But the offense
no.
More,
See, I'll say this:
yeah.
you can say that about anything, and I'm going to totally disagree about it.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, Buffalo should have lost the game with the fact that they gave up 40 points to the Baltimore Ravens, but they didn't. Why? Because their offense won the goddamn game.
But we have better talent on defense, though. Our defense.
But I don't. But again, I don't care about that. Washington only had 14 points into the fourth quarter. In the NFL in today's world, 14 points. The other team is definitely in the game.
But you and I can go back and forth on us all day. The Giants are very, very lucky that it was only 14 points.
Again, I understand that, but so is Washington. That we can't do anything. We drop the ball. We can't score inside the 5-yard line. I mean, there were so again. I understand it's semantics.
Our mistakes look like it's because we were discombobulated and just shitty. Their mistakes look like they were like brain farts kind of mistakes. You know what I mean? That's
a weird myopic perception,
right?
Because you're looking at it from hating the Giants, and I'm literally I was there. I saw they missed one deep pass, but quite frankly, by the time Jaden Daniels tried to throw him the ball, we were lucky they didn't get it, but that's fine. We had guys wide open on a couple of plays, and I can't believe that Russell Wilson didn't even see him. We had some plays that I'm wondering why are you even running that? You literally could have just lined up, but you're trying all this weird shit. That makes no sense. Anyway, point is, even a pedestrian offense has us well into the game. You could literally look at last night's game as a reflection of our game on Sunday. Minnesota played like crap for most of the game. Washington blew a number of opportunities, right? By the way, go back to 2007, go back to 2011. There are a number of times that other teams blew certain opportunities. You take advantage of when they do that. That's the part about the Giants. Nobody worries when they don't make a play because the Giants aren't going to do anything offensively. Until you prove otherwise, nobody is afraid. They're okay with punting the ball. They're okay with, you know what? We're not pressing.
John, you used the word pedestrian.
Yes.
I would love to have a pedestrian offense.
I know, right? Right.
I would love to have a below average offense right now. We are historically bad offense.
Very bad.
Last year was like, oh my God, are we going to score 14 points? We couldn't score 7 points on Sunday. And we had the ball 7 times in there were 2 red zone opportunities we came away with was it 3 points? 3 points and 2 red zone opportunities. And one of those red zone opportunities, it was really an extra set of downs, and they still couldn't get any more points. I mean, that's how bad it was. And like you said earlier, the thing I do agree with you is if they had scored a touchdown in this game, the complexion of the game changed. I just think the Reds, here we go, Commanders just look like the more physical well coached.
And I think that message for our own team, right? I think that the fact that Malik Nabers is throwing a fit at the end of the first quarter is not a good. By the way, I have a real problem with that. I don't give a shit if Dayball sucks or not sucks. That's a whole different matter. Malik Nabers with some attitude. You did drop the ball a couple of times too, by the way. You missed all of the summer. You constantly get Fridays off. You are injured a lot. tone it down just a little bit until you've done something on the field that wasn't just okay because you were targeted 145 times.
Right. Wow.
So I worry about that, but Dayball created it. When you start calling your receiver dog and you're the fucking head coach, you can't do that. I can't run a business and tell this and talk about this guy in front of everybody else about how great he is. And no matter how much he sucks and does shit, what am I going to do about it? I've already told him he's above everybody else. And that's a problem that we have. You've done it with Jackson Dart. You got to put him on the field. You can't build them up and leave them there. No,
I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I apologize.
Yeah, I am. No, you're good.
This is a huge, gigantic problem for the current regime. They cannot beat teams in the NFC East, and their only saving grace, and the only saving grace to the predecessors, was they could beat Washington, and now they can't beat Washington.
Right.
When's the last time we beat Dallas? It's been when's the last?
It had to be Judge. It had to be Judge's era.
When was the last time they beat Zach? Did I read today? It was Dak Prescott. Was that 2016? Or I'm talking almost a decade now.
Was it? Has it really been?
I mean, that's how bad it is. My neighbor's from a Dallas Cowboy fan. It's painful. It's painful for me, guys. And
dude,
we all know
my neighbors is a Washington fan.
The only time we beat Philadelphia, is like it's the end of the season and the game doesn't really matter to them because they've already got a playoff spot locked up. We can't beat the end. That's why Dable's gone. Dable can't hire defensive coordinators. He can't beat teams in the division, and he can't get the offensive genius, the quarterback whisperer, can't have a offense that scores more points than the 1945 Detroit Lions team. That he's got to go. And the only possible silver lining in any of this right now is this, and I'm praying to God that this is the case, is that the pain of going through this crap gave us Jackson Dart, who ends up being a really good quarterback, and I don't know if he's going to be. I pray to God, if Jackson Dart ends up being a really good quarterback, then I will willingly suffer through this season and get a top pick again, because at least we'll have our quarterback. But if Jackson Dart isn't that guy, there is nothing to get out of this. They've blown too many draft picks. We're going to start getting to the point where John has brought this up before, and others have brought this up before. Some of the guys that are really good on this team are starting to get older. And it gets to the point where, do you start thinking about trading a Dexter Lawrence? Because by the time this team turns around, he's not going to be part of the team. He's going to be like 30-something. So do you get something for him now? And I don't like thinking this way. I don't understand why the Giants just did the deal with Andrew Thomas, because they made it now harder to trade or cut him if he can't get on the field. I don't understand that. So this was we're repeating ourselves, so we should probably get off. But I want to summarize this. This was as disastrous an outcome, other than more significant injuries that there could possibly have been. I can't imagine them getting out of this. Maybe they will, and maybe we'll come back on and say, "Oh, thank goodness we were wrong." But this seems like a disaster to me. And again, it's the same. It's because it looks like the same things, and nothing's been fixed. And it's not just Dable and Shane. It's the same things that have been going on for the last 14 years. It's the same stuff. And it doesn't matter how many GMs they bring in. And I think you and I, our future shows, are going to have to start discussing, why is this happening? Why can't they fix this? They keep changing the parts. And again, we get it. Some of us, including myself, question ownership, but there's something bigger here. There's something institutionally wrong with the way this team operates. I don't know. I think my background. I spent 25 years in the federal government, and I worked for a very large agency. And this isn't a political comment. Please don't take it politically, but the swamp is a real thing. And I worked there till 2015. And we would have political appointees come in who said they wanted to change everything or institutionally within those organizations. And they had these great ideas. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they had stupid ideas. And it was Democrats, Republicans. It was different administrations. Yeah. They couldn't change anything because the career bureaucrats wouldn't allow them, eventually convinced them that their way of doing things was better. And I'm kind of wondering right now with the New York Giants, is the New York Giants atmosphere, is the organization that these people come into there with these great ideas, and does the organization somehow change that and prevent them from doing things that they normally would do? Or are they just completely incompetent in hiring people? I don't know what it is, but something's not right, because they keep hiring people, and they keep hiring people that people think pretty. Now, no one was banging down the walls for Joe Judge, but a lot of people thought very highly of Brian Daboll. He was a very highly sought after head coaching candidate.
Right.
And there have been other people that we've interviewed that, again, that people are, there are people that, they weren't like way out there type of things. Something's not working, and I just don't know what it is. And that's probably a discussion for a different day, but I don't know if it's the institutional makeup of the Giants, the way that the culture is, or I don't know if it's just Mara can't pick the right people. I don't know what it is.
We'll have a discussion another day. I'm on board with you. Mike, I will answer your thing. I hate Michael Lombardi. I think he's a full of shit hot air balloon, and he can say stuff about the Giants all he wants. It doesn't mean anything what he says, because he just says stuff. And he's Belichick's little buddy. By the way, Belichick has looked unbelievably bad. Thank God we did not bring him in. So we could talk about other stuff.
Yeah.
So
he would have been like a perceived culture changer, but thank God we didn't bring him in. Yeah.
Exactly. So real quick, anything from the game? Let's end this kind of somewhat positive. Was there anything from anybody? Was there?
No.
I will say this. I like
the edge rushers.
I
thought the edge rushers guys kind of lived up, though. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more impact on those second and long things. But again, some of that I'm like, what are they doing in the back end of the defense? If you give these tools to another defensive coordinator, I think we get a different outcome. But I thought the edge guys played well. I think Paulson Adebo did get lucky on one play where McLaurin got behind him. But I thought he played against a top-notch receiver. I thought he played fairly well. I
thought Wandell really played for his size. He took some big hits.
Yeah.
He's great if they can use him. He can't be the focal point. That was the problem. He was the only guy that was really kind of churning things out. Now, Cam Scatterbo I liked. He did not run very well, but some of it was the offensive line. He's a physical guy. He can't get hit in the backfield, or it's really just going to stop any momentum that he has.
That's most running backs.
But he can't take
that one play was really cool.
But he can't take hits like that out on the flat constantly and think we're going to have him for very long. I mean, he got drilled, he bounced off it, got drilled again, bounced off.
Yeah, but I loved it. I mean, it was.
But I want to see hit him in motion. Hit them in motion. Why do we continue hit guys where they're going to get creamed? Why can't we catch them as they get out and hit them in the? Look at Minnesota last night. Aaron Jones down the field as a running back. They were not getting a lot of play outside of Jefferson. Nabers, Naylor wasn't getting open. All of a sudden, Aaron Jones is running plays down the field. Hawkinson down the field.
Well, when we had guys crossing over the middle, you saw Tracy and Bo Collins and I forget who the other wide receiver.
Wandell.
They were all like bunched together in the same spot. I hope somebody ran the wrong way.
I think Tracy went. I think Tracy went the wrong way.
Yeah, I do too. But somebody screwed up there. If not, that wasn't supposed to be that way.
So the question is, if Tracy went the wrong way, because I did see the play over, and I'll give credit to Bobby Skinner for breaking it down. So Bobby did break that down. If Tracy's the guy who went the wrong way, who the hell was Wilson actually throwing it to? Because the way he's throwing it is in that direction. It almost seems like he was trying to throw it to Bo Collins. Because Collins is crossing and the ball was heading in that direction. Tracy's now in front of him. So literally, if you didn't see it, it's called a mesh play. You'll have ends on either side and they run across like this. Then you have another guy running deep, and that's Wandell. And Tracy in the backfield should flare out into the side. Instead, he kind of comes straight out. He turns and he's facing back to Wilson. And that's right where Bo Collins is running, bringing his defender with him. Plus the defender who lets go of Wandell comes forward. It's a cluster F. And we're lucky it wasn't a fumble. It was pretty damn close to being a fumble.
And the other guy who actually, I know, credit Nick Filato and is it Dan Schneier? Is it Schneier who singled out Kayvon Thibodeau, and they provided visual evidence on the all 22 that he played a good game both against the run and the pass. So there were positives, but John, again, we got to go into Dallas and we got to be able to block people up front on the offensive line, and we got to be able to stop the run and just for once just look like a physical football team, and then we'll see what Wilson does, but I'd have a very short leash on him.
Absolutely.
I'm not 100% convinced they'll do what you think they should do and poll him. I would hope he would have a short leash, but the part of me is if you're at that spot anyways, why are you wasting? Why not just give him the reps right now? The only other thing is maybe they're afraid of losing the locker room, or maybe it's like what Sai says, he doesn't want to just force him in there. But as I said earlier, I think Dart's got to be playing for his future here for the next regime. So I know Dable's not thinking that way.
But remember what we've said numerous times, though. And I think this is the only reason why there's even a hedging of when you do it. Once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, it's done. And
there's no going back to him. In fact, Wilson probably goes to 3 and Winston becomes the backup.
Yep. And if DeVito was still was here and on the practice squad, you might even consider getting rid of Wilson at that point. I don't know.
Because I mean, I
don't know if Shane would admit that mistake, but that's what I would do at that point. But we're certainly not going to trade him after the performance he just had. Too, earlier in the season we were thinking, well, what if Dart looks really good? Maybe we'll trade Wilson at the trade deadline for like a 5th round or 4th round pick or something. That's not going to happen now.
And quite frankly, and we can look at this as we move down the road. I'm not overly, I know everybody talked about it leading in. I'm not overly thrilled about what the quarterback class might look like. You need Dart to really pay off here if we end up high again in the draft, and that's early. I'm not going to overreact. It's one game. I'm pissed at the way the one game went. If we had lost the game and scored 20 points and it was close, I would feel okay. We were there. We could. The problem is we scored 6. It's so pathetically bad. And Washington leaving the game closer made the pathetically bad even worse. We scored 6 in a game in which they could not put us away until late in the game.
Yeah.
That sucked.
It's just bad. I mean, John, it's bad. It's just bad.
By the way, the Washington Stadium sucks.
Yeah. It's not. That stadium has not been. Because we don't have much to talk about our gray drab. At least our hot dogs are better. What?
You don't like the tin can look?
No.
Change the colors blue or green depending on who's playing at home?
That's what they showed on the artist mock-ups. It looked like it was going to look really cool. It doesn't look like it looks on the art. It just looks like a little blue tint. Anyways, we'll get into that another day.
With that, I mean, I think we'll wrap this one up. We will preview.
Are you happy, guys? Are we having fun yet? Is it?
Yeah, how disappointing. I mean, on a scale of, you posted
okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
All right, I just had to throw that out there.
No, I love it. But I have a weird feeling though that this better.
Good job, Joseph.
As if not, you look like a complete jackass. Your whole kissing and loving and holding hands. I mean, that's like telling this chick she is the hottest thing on the planet and then taking, plain Susan to the prom because
why can't we build an offensive line? Why has it been 14 years? Why can't we build an offensive line? Please, for the love of God.
Maybe help it out a little bit too, though, by the way. What? Don't make it so fucking obvious of what you're gonna do. Go up tempo. I'll say, here's the thing that I hate the most about this, the way Daboll does stuff. And I've complained about this for years. We are positional group specific to certain plays. The second you bring guys on, you've told the other team literally what you're fucking doing because those guys are only on for Manhurst is only out there if you're running something short or you're running. That's the only reason he's on the field. So you've told everybody by your positional groupings what you're freaking doing.
I mean, Dan Bellinger should be taking those snaps from Manhurts because at least he gives you a little bit of flexibility. You don't know if he's going to run. It's going to run. But like you said, if they bring Manhurts into the game, it's usually going to be a running play, or it's going, like you said, it's going to be. So don't start me on the coaching staff again. We'll be here.
No.
Here all night. They got to turn this around. They have to win on Sunday or they're toast. That's my feeling. Is they're done if they don't win on Sunday, because then it's just going to snowball. Unless Jackson Dart is like the messiah of quarterbacking, like, and saves their job, you know.
I like that it's John Mara.
John, can we talk?
Come on the show, goddammit. Come on the show, John Mara.
Can we talk? We don't understand. Why can't...
But your next post I'm not putting on the screen, so there you go.
No preachers. Yeah, on that note, guys, I wish we could. I mean, again, I did not expect this outcome. I could have seen us losing.
Yes.
I thought we had a decent chance to win. But I did not expect every area of the team to look as bad as it did at the end of last year. And that's where we're at right now. And the last thing I will say is, if I'm Dable, I'm pulling people out of the lineup if they're not performing. If JMS struggles, Schlottman goes in. If Greg Van Roten can't block, and maybe this backup Stinney can't, or Evan Neal can't block, but I'm bringing other people in because jobs are at stake, obviously, here. And I know cohesion with the offensive line is really important. I'm the first one to preach that, but you can't just keep rewarding. It's not even, like John said, mediocrity. It's beyond. It's just awful play. There's got to be consequences for this.
Bottom of the barrel offense.
Bottom of the barrel offense. I mean, if you can't get a goddamn yard when you've gotten, a couple of yards to get in the end zone when you got 7 tries, then you got a problem. So, and again, this was the Washington Commanders. Again, they're not dog meat on defense, but they're not that good. They're solid. There's nobody scary on that defense.
Right.
Oh my God.
They had no superstars. By the way, did you hear Von Miller's name said at all? No. I mean, I
heard a lot of people's names spoken that I was like, huh.
Everything we did was self-inflicted.
That's not really some. I mean, who's the guy who led the Dorrance led it with 9 pressures? I mean, that's never happened before. I mean,
that's a lot.
9 pressures.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
All right.
So, we'll end that here. We will do a preview later in the week. I am going to Dallas this weekend. I bought it beforehand. But the good thing is I was never in DC before. It's the first time I'd ever been to DC other than landing and taking off again. So I really enjoyed my time in DC. That was great. Eric, you and I will have to talk another time about, I actually got interviewed, which I think I shared with your, so I'll have to tell you about that. It was kind of funny. My wife just walked away. She's like, I'm not. She's like, I'm not part of that. I thought that was kind of cool. But I love DC. It was really nice. I had some great food. We did great touring. I love history, so that was great. And in that Dallas, I've been someone shared to check out. There's a museum there. I think he said a 6th floor museum or something like that. I'm gonna go check that out while I'm there. But yeah, so it is what it is. It sucks. It's bad. There is 16 more games, so we'll have hopefully not 16 more freaking times that we're gonna bitch and complain about shit. But
yeah, Paul, the only thing I was saying is, so I'm very superstitious. So during the Commanders game, because we were doing so well in the preseason, I sat in this chair and watched the same TV, hoping that I would have the same mojo, and it didn't. It didn't work. I needed Neil telegraphing the plays before they happened, telling me good things that were happening, but it didn't work. I was like, I'm very superstitious with stuff like that. It just didn't
I'll be
work.
wearing this time. I'm not wearing my LT jersey. I'm not wearing any jersey. I'm going to wear my inside.
You're going to streak. You're going to run on the field and streak.
We already, right. In Dallas, that'll be great. Yes. Yeah. Talk about turning viewers off. I'm going to wear my inside BBI shirt. I'm going to go wearing that. And you know what? F it. I'm going to enjoy just being able to see, we'll see what happens. But no, I'm not wearing the number 8 Daniel Jones jersey.
That would be funny.
I should sell to some Colts fans.
That would be funny.
Close to the same color. So that being said, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really appreciate everything. Continue the donation campaign on BBI, BigBlueInteractive.com. We want to bring exciting stuff. We want to bring good stuff. We want to bring at least competitive conversation. And I think that was the biggest disappointment for us. It was so boring.
The Giants aren't competitive, but the podcasters will bring you competitive conversation.
It was so boring that it's really hard. Like you don't even get to break stuff down. It was so bad. Like just be exciting. Just
Well,
be
and John, and for everyone who's still out there, the last thing I will say is this: is we've got a lot of people will say, well, why the hell tune in moving forward? We're going to have some pretty big things to be talking about,
Yes.
at least in the next month. If this month goes the way I suspect it's going to be going,
or if it goes the
and
other, but yeah.
yeah, or the other way, we'll see. But we're going to have to break down some things because there's definitely something wrong here, and we got to try to figure out what that thing is. And again, we know what the immediate problems are, but how are we here and why are we still at the same spot after a decade? That's what we got to keep hammering at. And I don't know if anyone else in the organization's listening, but my God, get your act together. It's ridiculous. And we love the Giants. We want them to do well. But my God, you guys, you got to get your act together. You should at least be respectable. And it's not even respectable at this point. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be a Giants fan right now because of how poorly you guys are playing. And I don't think it's all the players. I think you guys got to get your act together.
Yeah, I agree. SPP, I'm glad you got it. I love mine. I have a couple other things coming still for myself, just because I was kind of really excited about the fact that I was really hoping this would be a much different year. And week 1 took a lot out of the sales, but we're gonna handle the preview like a normal preview.
I am.
Well, one of us is going to. Listen. Here's the thing, right? Again, if you're going to do anything, you got to do it on the field. So it's all whatever. If the Giants do find way to kind of get some of the mojo from the summer back, and I have a feeling it's all tied into a number 6. But when they do, or if they do, there are opportunities. But 3, 4, 5 weeks later, if you don't have it, the season's over. It's over because you've already accumulated too many losses.
Yeah.
You're never going to turn it around. It has to start immediately. When we first had this thing, I said to you, what do they have to start? You thought 2-0. I thought if they were at least 1-1, that would be something. I didn't think the Washington game was going to be the loss, though. I thought maybe the Dallas game. Now,
but we both said they can't be 0-2.
They can't be 0-2 because that's really bad.
And that's where we're going if they don't turn this around. Again, Dallas is not. We thought Dallas was going to be worse than they are. I didn't. They were impressive in the opening day, and they're going to have extra time to prepare for us, like they need it. So all right, we'll address that later. This is a good stopping point. We're at the 90-minute mark, so
yeah,
we'll end it here.
Yeah. So with that, like, subscribe, all that good shit, and we'll try to be. We'll be honest. We'll just be honest.
We'll be honest with you guys.
So there we go. Appreciate it, and we'll catch you real soon.